Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, the author of that book, also, although the lettering doesn't show up real good in front of a green screen, the author of that book. The author, of course, Dan Wos, author of Good Gun, Bad Guy, the full series of books. I've got 2 and 3 in my office. I hope, man, that you're bringing 1 and 4. Is 4 complete?
No, 4's not ready yet, but I will have one. I'll have all 3 in Dallas. They will be for sale. I will be signing them, and I will definitely make sure that you get one.
Okay, very cool. And let's to jump off to start with a couple things. Number one, as I do every day, I want to remind everybody, if you're watching on the Polite Society podcast, Facebook, or YouTube feed, you can comment on the live video. We'll get those comments. We'll get your comments on the air, and we'll discuss them. And today being a very light news day, it's a very good chance your comment will get on the air. If you're watching anywhere else that picks us up, go ahead and go to Twitter with the hashtag #TheBullet. And we'll get those comments as well and get them up. And why am I not? I'm not getting Facebook connected. So if you're on Facebook, go to Twitter and tweet with the hashtag #TheBullet, because Facebook is not letting me. Facebook is not letting me connect, so I don't know what's going on. I know for a fact we're live on YouTube, and let me just run 1 or 2 more things and see why we aren't live. I'm sorry for the delay, but I want to try to get as many people in on the well, I think I'm done with the I'm just gonna kick a impromptu live out on Facebook. The Bullet live show for 9/14. And I got one more thing I got to do here real quick, and we will be I believe now, yes, we are now live on Facebook. Wow. Yeah, I'm not screwing with that live event anymore. That this is the second time it's screwed up on me. So we'll just stick with the impromptu live videos. And now there we go. Now I've got social media hooked up. Welcome everybody on Facebook who may just now be catching us. And then, Dan, before we get into the news today, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about, you're going to be speaking at 2 events the end of September. You're going to be speaking at AmCon. Also, you're going to be speaking on a panel at GRPC. AmCon is really about Second Amendment media. It's not for the Second Amendment general public, although they're certainly welcome to attend. We focus this down and we drill in on people who are in the media. We're about making your media better. And honestly, if you're not in the media, you're going to be bored to death. So, but I want to talk a little bit about GRPC, man. It is the one thing more than NRA annual meetings, more than anything else I look forward to every year is going to GRPC. What do you think, man?
Oh, absolutely. I love GRPC. And I look at it as really just a way for, you know, all of us in the Second Amendment media, all us Second Amendment media types, to get together and really talk shop and because everybody, it's really interesting because everybody comes to GRPC with different skill sets. Some people might be focused on legislative. Some people might be so focused on media. And so it's just great. I think people, there's always a great turnout too. There's a lot of people. I don't know how many thousands of people come through the door through the weekend, but a lot of people. And it's really just, it's good for everybody, and we get to hear everybody speak on their topic. Wealth and knowledge. There's so much stuff going on. You got radio people there. You got media. You've
Mm-hmm.
got it's just a really cool event. A lot of fun.
When we last did the in person get together for GRPC, it was in Phoenix, and we had in Phoenix, excuse me, on Saturday alone, we had 1,100 people in the room, 1,100 gun rights activists, and Sunday the crowd is smaller because everybody's starting to make their way home. But one thing 1,100, and these are, if you go to GRPC, you are a hardcore gun rights activist. And I was up in front of these people speaking, and I said to them, and I say it occasionally on the air, I've never felt more comfortable and more safe than speaking in front of 1,100 armed people.
I know it's the safest, it's the safest building on the planet
Telling you,
on that
man,
particular weekend.
it absolutely is. All right. Let's go ahead and let's get started on news. First news story I want to bring up, and this comes from our home office in Washington State. A story by Dave Workman. Second Amendment Foundation has filed a federal lawsuit challenging a new gun control law hastily adopted in New York State following the Supreme Court's nullification of its previous concealed carry statute that required proper cause, alleging the state's new statute is just as unconstitutional as the previous law. The new measure bans lawful licensed carry of firearms in so-called sensitive places and presumptively most property in the state, creating a de facto ban on firearms carry for personal protection. As a result, SAF and its partners are asking for declaratory and injunctive relief from the court. And this is a quote from my ultimate boss, Alan Gottlieb. The New York legislature and Governor Kathy Hochul are making a mockery of the Supreme Court's ruling in June, which struck down the state's onerous proper cause requirement. Gottlieb said, while they're playing politics, the rights of law-abiding New York citizens are being cavalierly trampled. We cannot allow that to happen just so anti-gunners in Albany can play games with the Constitution just to see whether they can get away with it. I know SAF is not the only, they've got partners in this suit. Firearms Policy Coalition is a partner of ours in this suit. I know GOA is doing some stuff in New York as well, but New York is getting sued left, right, and center, and I am absolutely proud to say SAF is among them.
Yeah, they are getting hammered. So what happened here was the Bruin decision came down. Just Clarence Thomas wrote this decision, wonderful decision, basically saying that all of New York's gun laws are unconstitutional, and any future gun laws must meet historical tradition. In other words, if you're going to create, in other words, if the issue didn't exist at the time of our founding, you can't make up an issue that never existed before to write a new gun law. In other words, it has to meet some sort of historical measurement, historical metric. And when they say historical, they were talking about around the time of our founding. So New York, essentially, right now, New York should be probably the most gun free state, but appointed governor Kathy Hochul decided that she's going to create a whole other layer of gun restrictions that she knows are unconstitutional. She's going to lay them down over top of this brand new Bruin decision, knowing that they're unconstitutional, but she knows that it's going to take time for us to fight them in court, to fight her in court. So right now, New York permitting offices and sheriff's departments all across the state are going crazy trying to meet these new requirements. And it's everything from 3 years of social media, which violates your Fourth Amendment, to an 18-hour course. Here's an interesting thing. People probably don't know this. Hochul decided that there's going to be a 16-hour course with 2 hours on the range. So a total of 18 hours, 16 hours of course study, 2 hours of live fire. So I personally talked to trainers, and they said, well, we want to create these courses. A lot of these guys that we know want to create these courses, but the state told them they couldn't. So the state said, no, the state is going to create the course. You're going to use our course. They're like, all right, whatever. So 3 days before, 2 or 3 days before the law was to go into effect, September 1st, the state said, well, we don't have the course, so you guys got to create your own. So essentially they had like 2 or 3 days to create this 18-hour course to meet the state's new standards.
Yeah, Matt Mallory was talking about that last Thursday. Yeah, Matt Mallory. Yeah, it was last time Matt was on. He was talking about that. Yeah,
I've been in direct contact. Just talked to Matt today. We've been talking about a lot of other stuff too, which is some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, so that's one thing. So the counties and the guys like Matt who are trying to create these courses, they're going crazy trying to figure this out. So Matt is definitely one of the good guys. He is really. We might have some stuff. There might be some stuff coming down the pike that I think New Yorkers might be happy about. But to get back to your point, there are some lawsuits. There are definitely lawsuits, and this time, this new bunch of gun laws in New York will get shot down. I believe will get shot down. I just don't know how long it's going to take. In the meantime, there are some other attempts at getting restraining orders on the existing law. GOA had a case that got shot down. They were looking for an injunction before September 1st, before the new law would go into effect. It got shot down in court. The judge said Hochul's laws are unconstitutional. However, your plaintiff doesn't have good standing for some technical reason. It's hard for me to even explain it, but it was very stupid and technical. And
by the way, was replaced the afternoon before he made the decision.
Say that again?
He was replaced in office the afternoon before he made the decision.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then, so he was replaced that afternoon. That evening, he made the decision a few hours before the law was supposed to go into effect. And so he's no longer in that office.
Okay.
I talked with Alex Uli about that, and man, something to me just doesn't smell right about that.
Well, what they said was, I guess the plaintiff didn't have proper standing because I guess the way it was set up is he wanted to go into these places that are now considered gun-free zones or sensitive places, sensitive locations. He wanted to go there, and now he can't because of the law. So that was, I guess, the basis of the argument. The judge said, no, that's not good enough. He would need to have an intent to go in. In other words, I guess the plaintiff's argument must be, I will be going in, and therefore you will be making me a criminal. So because of that difference between I would like to go into these places and I intend to go in, that was the differential that made his standing no good, as far as I understand it. Which to me sounds like just a technicality,
Yeah.
a silly thing, because the judge even said the law was unconstitutional. So, but now, good news for New Yorkers, and I think good news for the country. They're going back in. GOA and others are going back in. Some are going in for restraining orders on the existing law, and some, like New York State Rifle and Pistol, as far as I understand, are going in to defeat the law itself. So they're getting attacked. New York State is getting attacked on this new gun law from every angle, and it will most likely turn out good for us. But the question is, how long will it take? Because the Bruin case started in 2015.
Right. Let me get some comments in here, because we got some great comments in. Mike White says, putting laws on the books, see what sticks. Well, that certainly seems to be New York's approach.
Yeah. And what they're trying to do, Mike, is they're trying to not only see what sticks, but see how long they can torture gun owners. Just see how long they can make us have to fight them. That's
when the guy that used to be in the office that got chased off because he couldn't help but grope women in elevators, couldn't help himself. Anyway, when he was in office, Cuomo was famous for saying, "Look, if you're a conservative, you need to just leave New York. There's no place for you here." This may be something similar to that. If you're a gun owner, you don't belong in New York.
Right. Hochul said you're not New Yorker. So they're both on the same page when it comes to that stuff. If you don't, with these horrible leftists, if you don't conform to their ideology, then you're not a New Yorker. And the truth is, we're the real Americans. We're the real New Yorkers. We're the ones who want rights and believe in the Constitution, want capitalism, want all the traditional American values. We're the ones. They're the ones who are, these Democrats are the ones who are the anti-Americans, but yet they call us anti. But anyway, that's another whole thing. They got to go, and I think Zeldin, who's running for governor, he's within the margin of error right now as far as polls go. So fingers crossed. I know my Republican committee up here where I live, I'm actually vice chair on the Republican committee in my town, and we are pushing hard. And upstate New York is really pushing hard for Zeldin, and I think we actually have a chance to win this one. So
Very cool. Well, and it's not just the governor's. I mean, yes, I hope you get the governor's seat, but you've got to get more legislators too. You've got to get pro-freedom legislators in place too. I'll get some more comments in here. Larry says, "Whoops, wrong button." Larry says this wastes public resources litigating for a personal agenda. Larry, honestly, New York doesn't care about that because they have an unlimited budget compared to SAF, compared to GOA, compared to other gun rights organizations. They have an unlimited budget to defend these things. So that, they're going to continue just to pass. And we've got lots and lots and lots of attorneys that already work for the state. It doesn't cost us anything. We've already got the attorneys. Doesn't matter, the attorneys could be better used doing other things. But Michael,
it's an unfortunate game that we have to play.
Michael over on the Facebook side says, I wonder how long the filing process will take. Going back to your point earlier, isn't there a timely process law? Lawsuits take how long they take. A lot of that has to do with the judge. If the judge wants to hurry things along, the judge can, to a point, hurry things along. But if the judge is feeling like they don't want to, it can take a very long time. And then one more. Yeah. And dude, I agree with you. One more from Michael. I just don't want to be a test case. Yeah, the right now I would imagine if you are a concealed if you have a concealed carry permit or whatever New York calls them, and you are caught carrying in Central Park, you are going away for a very long time. It's what, a Class E felony? Is that my understanding?
Class E felony, yes. Um, and the thing about all this is that it was just shot down by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
It's so hysterical because the Supreme Court just said no, this stuff is unconstitutional, but they do it again anyway. Can I mean people are shocked because we don't understand. Well, you would think the Supreme Court shot it down. That's the end of it. No, Hochul says, nah, we're going to do it again. We're just going to rename everything. So instead of gun-free zones, now they're sensitive locations. Instead of I don't know, whatever other terms that she used, a whole bunch of other terms that they just changed the name. Instead of proper cause, because that's what it was. It was proper. They required you show proper cause before getting a handgun permit. So she changed proper cause to good moral character. So they still have a way now to judge you and deny you. So it's horrible. I can't believe it even is allowed to happen. I wish that these legislatures and these governors would be held personally liable when they
Oh yeah.
do these things that blatantly violate the rights of the people that they represent. This is the shocking part of this whole thing. If you just came down from another planet and you landed here in New York and you saw what these legislators do, you would say, what's going on here? We're in backwardsville. So but that's the way, and unfortunately we have to fight it. Thank God for Second Amendment Foundation, Firearms Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of America, all these groups that are fighting. New York State Rifle Pistol. I've been in contact with Tom King and try to keep in touch with him so I know what's going on with their lawsuit. I'm in touch with all the guys at the executive level at Gun Owners of America, and they're all fighting. I think it's going to end well. I think
Yeah.
for us, it's just how long is it going to take to get there.
I got two more things I want to bring up. First is your story that hit yesterday over on AmmoLand. Turns out that City of New York, under the previous law, there were certain businesses that were allowed to keep firearms on premise. What comes to mind is something like Masada Yub often tells the story. When he was a kid, his dad or his family owned a jewelry store, and he learned at a very young age how to handle a handgun to work in the jewelry store. Now, that was not in New York. That was in New England. But I would imagine in places in New York, there are jewelry stores where they're allowed to have handguns. Now, apparently, the New York State has been sending out to every place that previously was allowed to have handguns on the property that had businesses that were allowed to keep guns there. They're sending out letters saying, "Look, get rid of the gun, or it's a Class E felony." And that's
Right.
off of your piece on AmmoLand yesterday. Do you know of any specific businesses this is happening to, Dan?
Well, yeah, just about everything, because in the list of businesses that are considered sensitive locations now, it's just about everything. It's any type of mental health issue, any mental health facility, any type of schooling facility, any type of bar, restaurant. It's practically any place. Really, when you go through the list, you there's no place that they left out. I mean, I suppose if you're floating in the air, above a highway, you might be okay carrying a gun. It's really bad. The list is extensive, so I want everybody to write this down. If you want to see the letter that New York City wrote to all the people who have businesses in these locations, basically saying turn in your guns, you can go to goodgunbadguy.com/news. So goodgunbadguy.com/news. And the actual letter is on my website, and you can read it. And I'll tell you a few of the things that it says. The letter says, as you should be aware, this is a letter from New York State Police Department to the businesses that are in these new sensitive locations, newly designated sensitive locations, by the way. The letter says, as you should be aware, New York State has recently enacted laws that prohibit those who are licensed to carry firearms from carrying their firearms in certain locations. You are being sent this letter because your place of business may now be in a sensitive location under this law, and thus continued possession of a firearm at this location is unlawful. It goes on to say, where is it? If this applies to your place of business, please bring your applicable firearm to your local precinct in order for it to be safeguarded for you.
Yeah, turn it in.
Sounds like turn in your guns. So again, let me give you that website address. If you're watching this, go to the website, read the letter. It's amazing. It's goodgunbadguy.com/news. goodgunbadguy.com/news. The entire letter is posted with all the locations listed, and I think it'll be very enlightening to see what New York is actually doing to violate the citizens' constitutional rights.
I also put a link to your AmmoLand article in both the Facebook and YouTube live video feeds, so that if you're watching us live right now, go to the comments. The link is right there. You can go through to Dan's article, and the link for the letter is there as well. We are down, and we didn't get nearly, you and I, we only needed two stories. So we're down at the bottom of the hour. Before we go, if you would, please tell everybody a little bit more about Good Gun Bad Guy, the series of books.
Well,
and also your show, Loaded Mike.
That book you're holding up right there, number 2, Good Gun Bad Guy 2, Destroying the Anti-Gun Narrative, was actually endorsed by Ted Nugent. He wrote a really nice review for me. He loved the book. I sent it to his PR rep, Linda. I think her name is Linda. Yeah, I think it's Linda. And she got it to Ted. Ted read the book. He loved it. He wrote a review. Good Gun Bad Guy 2 talks a lot about the media and how the media corrupts the narrative, the gun narrative, and what the media does to change the way we think about guns in America. So it unveils a lot of their tricks and their strategies. That's Good Gun Bad Guy 2. Good Gun Bad Guy 1 talks about the mindset of the anti-gunners. Lots of cool stuff in the first book. And then Good Gun Bad Guy 3 talks about the politics behind the gun grab, which is very important that we understand what's going on. Why are they, what's with the gun grab? Why do they want the gun grab so badly? So goodgunbadguy.com. And like I said, if you want to read that article, that letter from New York City, goodgunbadguy.com/news. And the show, The Loaded Mike, is at loadedmike.com. That's our weekly web show. You're going to love it. Loadedmike.com.
Well, and honestly, Dan, I'm stealing this, I believe, from Tom Gresham, who says it quite a bit. Gun control is not about guns. It's about control. And I think that sums it up quite nicely, in that the gun grabbers want control, and they will not stop with guns. Yeah. They'll also go after your 32-ounce big gulps. They'll go after, and they have. They'll go after anything and everything to control your life.
That's true, and we end up fighting the battle on gun laws and gun rights and how many rounds can we have in a magazine and what guns are legal and what guns are not. And it's really not about any of that stuff. It's really about controlling people, like you said. Unfortunately, they're using guns because they know that when the people have guns, they have leverage,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the one thing that they need to take away if they want to control the population.
Let's and again, we're going to run over. We're already over, but we're going to run over more. I want to repeat. I've said it a lot recently, but I'm going to say it again. Ultimately, all laws are enforced at the point of a gun. It's a lot easier to enforce laws at the point of that gun if you don't have a gun pointing back at you.
Yeah,
I mean, think
right.
about it. Even parking ticket violations are enforced at the point of a gun. Because eventually, if you get enough of them and you don't pay them, you're going to go to jail. They're going to send a guy with a gun to take you there. All laws, and I mean all of them, are enforced at the point of a gun.
Yeah, good point.
So, alrighty, man. Well, we're overtime. No big shock for us, but Dan, thank you so much for coming along for the ride today, man.
Anytime, pal. I'll see you in Dallas.
Yeah, 2 weeks from today, I'll be. And by the way, viewers, listeners, we're going to be doing regular shows this week and next week. The week after that, I'm doing a Monday show. I'll be doing Polite Society that night. And then Tuesday, I tear the studio down. Wednesday, Dan and I are not, 2 weeks from today, Dan and I are not doing a show. I'll be driving to Dallas with all my studio equipment. So we're going to be taking about a week off to get AmCon and GRPC in. So anyway, that's going to do it for us today. Come join me tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central Time. And thanks everybody for watching.